just when you really wish that things were not a political, ideological stomping ground in Hollywood, and you think they are potentially learning their lesson, up crops another person just to make a political statement. And that person is James Gunn, the director of Superman. I know this was several days ago now, but I thought it was worth talking about anyways, as I haven't done it yet. Hello and welcome back to Chat About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters, not by myself. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, switch on the notification bell so that you know I am releasing another video. Thank you to everyone who's joined me already. I cannot run this channel without you. Please do keep it in friendly in the chat. I grew up watching the TV version of Superman. I wasn't an avid reader of the comics, and whilst I don't go out my way to watch the films per se, there is a good chance that I might end up seeing this one because I go to the cinema a lot with my dad. So I'm going to take a look at James's statements as a standalone because I can't compare it with the film as I've not seen it yet. So, first of all, let's take a look at the statement that he made and then his defense as to why he said what he said. The article that I've taken the quote from is The Independent. The DC Studios co CEO said earlier this week that Superman was the story of America, an immigrant that came from other places and populated the country. But for me, it's mostly a story that says basic human kindness is a value and is something that we've lost, he told the Sunday Times. So that's what he said. And that's what got people saying that this was woke. And I understand why they would say that. We've had way too much upheaval in today's world, in Hollywood and our entertainment, for people to really start standing their ground on what happens within Hollywood. I understand that there are foundations in America that it's built on immigration and it makes up a massive chunk of American history, although I'm not an expert. However, it's also currently an issue as well, and it's a big issue. There will be people who are completely for new immigrants and people who are completely against immigration. Now, I did do a little bit of fact checking because I was interested about the creators of Superman and where they came from. Jeremy Seagal, sorry if I butchered that name, and Josh Shuster both originated from immigrant families. So there's a possibility that the story may be a metaphor for their background. However, that doesn't mean to say that I think that James Gunn should start saying things like that and attaching it directly to Superman. I think this is something people need to go to the cinema to watch and make those decisions for themselves as to whether or not it is that. However, most people don't want to be preached at. They just want to be entertained. And when I watched the TV show as a child, I never got the impression that Superman was an immigrant. I didn't really think about those things at that age. I've constantly maintained that you've got to integrate the message into your product naturally. And if that is what the authors of the original Superman comics did, and that was their intention, then that's how it should remain in the movies and any promotional stuff and the TV shows that are made, rather than telling us this is what it is. And when the public go to see it, if they get that message, then that's great. But if they don't, it really doesn't matter because they've come away with a cathartic release that entertainment is supposed to give people. Naturally, of course, though, people don't like being preached at and being told what to think. This was met with backlash, and so James had to come to his own defense. And this is what he said. Responding to criticism, Gunn said Superman was for everyone. I'm not here to judge people, he told Variety at the Superman premiere in Los Angeles on Monday. I think this is a movie about kindness, and I think that's something everyone can relate to. Now, that part I would agree with, and he did mention kindness in his earlier statement. I think that James should have just said that to begin with, to be honest with you. Then people wouldn't have got as angry as they did. People are already tense about what's going on in Hollywood. They're already worried about what's going to happen to their favorite characters. And when you attach buzzwords to things like Superman, Batman, any film, I would say that they are political and ideological. They will start to create and generate problems, and people will call it woke. Naturally, that's going to happen. And I just don't think those kinds of statements should be attached to it, even if Superman was intended by the writers to be an immigrant. You should separate the two. You need to differentiate. People really want to go and see it without that messaging instead of attaching it to something that will make people switch off. Now, obviously, he's entitled to say that if he wants to, but he's got to be subject to critique and expect to be subject to critique should he say things like that, as much as I am. It's how we have conversations, of course. I really do think it is better for Hollywood to start thinking about pulling back. There have been some times in the last year where I think they had started to change their stance or what they were saying in their press releases to interviewers and things like that. But then they change their minds and they go back to square one. I just want Hollywood and entertainment in general to go back to creating good content for everybody and not attach a political message that is preached at people just for the sake of being able to say it and getting the brownie points for it. That's what I think. Let me know what you think. Chat about it, don't shout about it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Bye bye.